So, first up on the program this evening, we would have Miss Genesis Alfred, who would give you some remarks, just a bit about Miss Alfred. She's one of St. Lucia's young leaders in climate justice and climate change. She currently holds a position of program manager, of which she does an amazing job at the Caribbean Climate Justice Project and Youth Innovative Renewable Energy Program. Ms. Alfred also serves as the U-Report OECS lead ambassador for St. Lucia. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Science and Ecology from the University of the West Indies, Cavell campus. She is currently pursuing her master's degree in Natural Resource and Environmental Management at the Center for Resource Management and Environmental Studies at Cavell. Ms. Alfred has represented St. Lucia at several international and regional forums surrounding climate change, the just transition, and energy transition. Her hope is that she can inspire young people like herself to not only get involved, but to take action in climate change. We have one planet, let's work together to preserve it. Genesis Alfred, take it away.
Thank you so much, Samantha Telesford. Wonderful job thus far. So ladies and gentlemen, as I begin, I'd like to say good evening and thank you again to each and every one of you for joining. So without further ado, on behalf of the Caribbean Climate Justice Project, I would love to warmly welcome each and every one of you. Thank you for coming together with us as we commemorate the World Environmental Day 2026 under the theme Inspired by Nature for Our Climate, Our Future. Today is more than just a celebration of the environment. It is a reminder that there is a deep connection between people, nature, and future that we shape together. Across the Caribbean and the world, by extension, we are witnessing growing impacts of climate change through rising sea temperatures, increasing storms, and we witness the impacts of climate change, especially in the Caribbean region, as it devastates our nature and how we survive. For small island developing states like ours, these are not distant concerns. They are our realities, and we face them every day. At the same time, nature continues to teach us resilience, balance, and renewal. Our forests, oceans, wetlands, coral reefs, and ecosystems in the Caribbean and across the world sustain us, and we have to protect them for our future generations. They remind us that climate action must not only focus on reducing emissions, but also protect people, livelihoods, cultures, and natural systems that support itself. This is why the Climate Justice Project and climate justice by extension is so important. Climate justice recognizes that while we are maybe vulnerable and we have vulnerable communities, we contribute the least to climate change. This essentially offers us a chance to understand how we as Caribbean people face hardships and how we can curb our practices to have a sustainable future. It calls for fairness, accountability, inclusion, and equitable solutions that ensure that no one is left behind in a global and Caribbean space, just to make emphasis when it comes to the climate crisis. Tonight, we are proud to launch our climate justice music video and the new 1.5 to Stay Alive painting, which are projects born out of passion, advocacy, creativity, and the belief that the arts have the power to transform and inspire change. Music and the arts have been powerful tools for storytelling and social transformation. And through this launch, we are seeking to amplify the voices of our Caribbean communities on the forefront of climate change, particularly our youth and Caribbean people whose stories and experiences deserve to be heard. This production is not just about entertainment, it is a call for awareness and action. It reflects the urgency of the climate crisis while also celebrating resilience and collective responsibility we share to protect our planet and our futures. We hope that this video and painting encourage meaningful conversations, strengthen advocacy efforts, and inspire individuals, organizations, and leaders to act and be responsible for climate justice. I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to everyone who contributed to making this initiative possible, and special references goes to Mr. Jonathan Gladding, Mr. Taj Weekes, Mr. Milton Bradford, Dr. James Fletcher, and the individuals who came together to champion environmental sustainability and climate action within our Caribbean community. As we gather here today, let us remember that protecting the environment is a shared responsibility that requires all of us. Protecting the Caribbean is our responsibility. And through our voice, creativity, policies, research, and activism, we can do that today. So I'd just like to draw your attention again to the theme for this year's World Environment Day 2026, inspired by nature for our climate, our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those beautiful remarks, Miss Alfred. So moving swiftly along, we'll go to Mr. Kendel Hippolyte. I'm just gonna give you a background of who he is. He's a poet. Kendel Hippolyte is one of St. Lucia's most celebrated literary figures and a leading voice in Caribbean poetry and theater. An award-winning poet, playwright, director, and educator. Mr. Hippolyte has published numerous collections of poetry and authored several acclaimed plays exploring Caribbean identity, culture, and the social issues. In 2013, his collection Fault Lines won the poetry category of the OCM Booker's Prize for Caribbean Literature. A recipient of St. Lucia's Medal of Merit for his contribution to arts, Mr. Hippolyte continues to inspire generations of writers, artists, and thinkers throughout the region. So, Mr. Kendel Hippolyte, you can unmute your mic and take it away.
And tomorrow. Today, finish the breakfast, get in the car, make it to work, make it from work. After work, drinks, chat, maybe some shopping, deal with the children, some household problem, finish the dinner, laugh at the sitcom, get in the shower, get into bed. And as you drift into sleep, glaciers weep into sea. Today, downtown hustle, 40% off, only today. Speakers boom, voices buzz, songs clash, things crackle, sizzle, pop. City in a sweat and swelter, people helter-skelter, sweeps past, chit-chat, quick snap, take away. And under franticking seconds of the day, sea, slow, rising, still. Today, in air-conditioned offices of multi-private corporations, grey governments, the memos, graphs, files, reports, level voices, electronic signatures, queues, appointments, the cool efficiency of the pre-arranging of the world's affairs. And through half-closed louver blinds, the saffron blaze of forest fires, the fervent trees like monks self-immolating. Today, green common acres marked up, inches of strip mining, keloid scars of latifundias, bruises of industrialized aquifers, and undertaste seeping into sparkling crystal glasses, raised for perhaps a final toast, all year's night. And less than a thought away, drought scabs the land, the dust of famine stirring, whispering toward us. And tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, and
what caused this poem? What was the thinking behind the poem? What motivated you to do this?
okay. I think the main thing, not I think, I mean, I realized, I suspect maybe even afterwards that I realized fully what was going on there was the climate change phenomenon is a peculiar one in that um, the destructive effects are going on all the time, but some of the processes involved in that are so slow, so incremental until something happens that it's something that people can be aware of in a kind of a vague intellectual way, but we all carry on our normal lives, etc., etc., etc. Unless for some reason we're plugged into it, we just carry on our normal lives. But all the time we're doing that, it's happening. The yeah the sea level rise is beginning imperceptibly from our normal point of view, but it's happening. Glaciers are melting into the sea, and so I wanted you to kind of like get to the contrast between that, and in a way to kind of tell myself and everybody else, wake up, this is happening now, it's happening now, wake up. Don't wait until something actually dreadful happens and then you say, oh shucks, it's now, it's going on now. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Kendel.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, all bless. Yeah. Thanks and praise. Nice.
So that would have been the end of that video from Mr. Kendel Hippolyte, sort of expressing. Can everybody confirm that they can still hear and see me? Okay, thank you. Right, so we just heard from Mr. Kendel Hippolyte by virtue of that video, and we see the creativity that would have emanated from him explaining what happened, with what's happening with climate change through that creative poem. So moving swiftly along, we'll do the official unleaving of the new climate justice painting, and that would also be done by virtue of a video as well. Mr. Jonathan Gladden. He is the artist behind the work. And so Mr. Jonathan Gladden is a St. Lucia-based visual artist whose work, has become widely recognized for its warm, evocative portrayals of Caribbean life and culture. Originally from the United States, Gladden arrived in St. Lucia as a Peace Corps volunteer in 1999 and has since developed a deep artistic connection to the island and its people. His paintings, particularly his depictions of school children and everyday island scenes, have earned admiration from collectors and gallery audiences alike. Through his art, Gladden captures the beauty, humanity, and spirit of Caribbean communities. And so the painting will sort of give insight into the Climate Justice 1.5 to Stay Alive. So we'll go straight into that.
Hi, Jonathan here, working on the latest in a series of climate justice paintings.
At first glance, this appears to be a pleasant image of a beautiful girl surrounded by flowers in front of a nice sunset. On closer inspection, however, the red-orange sky is not a sunset, but the result of wildfires, which have already become more frequent and more destructive as the climate becomes hotter and drier. And the beautiful girl in the painting is slowly being submerged by rising sea levels. The flowers around her, all symbolic of the beauty of nature in her tropical paradise, are also sinking under the waves, along with a doll in Madras, symbolic of her culture, as well as childhood being lost or made more difficult by the disruption to life, increasing scarcity of resources, and forced migration that climate change is likely to cause. With her head still above water, she silently pleads that we do what we can to stop this from happening.
You can join the Climate Change Justice Project and Youth IRI for the video launch and their first look at my new climate justice painting on June 5th World Environment Day. Thank you.
What inspired you to do this?
Okay, well, I have my friend, the late Yves Renard, to thank for that. This was back in 2015, I think it was. And he was talking to me about the upcoming Paris Climate Accords and the whole 1.5 to Stay Alive campaign.
And each one kind of tells a different story. So the first one, where her hands are just, she's joined her hands and she's beneath the water, almost looking as if she's not understanding what's happening to her. So she's just there and she's submerged and, in her madras and looking very innocent. And then the second one, where for the first time she's, using the hands to show the 1.5, again with the water below her chin line. But the third one is, I think where it becomes even more dramatic, where you have the water has now reached the bottom of her chin, but in the background you have this raging fire. So I think, there you've kind of introduced another element. So finally take us into this last, I keep saying last, and I don't want it to be the last one. So this fourth one, this fourth painting that you've done for us for World Environment Day. Describe this one to us.
For this one, I was fortunate to have my friend Gina, who has modeled for me many times. Beautiful face, nice person, very helpful with this. And so it's the same idea, the same theme of a person being surrounded by rising sea levels and fires burning behind her. And also with this one, I think this World Environment Day, the theme is a focus on nature.
Right.
So I thought I would incorporate flowers to symbolize nature. And each flower, of course, has its own meaning. And there are birds of paradise here, roses, ixora, hibiscus, all symbolic of tropical places like St. Lucia, Landus, snow on the mountain. So we have these beautiful flowers, and then they're also getting submerged by the rising sea. And we also have a doll, and she's clothed in traditional attire, madras. And that's symbolic of culture,
Yeah.
and also childhood, because that's another part of the reality of what will happen when we lose so many communities, parts of the world to rising sea levels, which will literally flood people's homes, people's towns, villages.
That for me, Jonathan, is as awesome as this painting is. That for me is the most poignant part of this painting. The fact that you have been able to capture in just that one bit underneath the ocean, the loss of childhood, the loss of innocence, the loss of cultural heritage, which, as you pointed out, is something that not very many people are aware of, that as one of the impacts of climate change.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to, make a small contribution. We're also grateful of all you've done to lead us in this movement to have our voices heard. So thank you very much for all of that.
It's been my absolute pleasure, Jonathan.
Wow, what a lovely, lovely way to display the 1.5 to stay alive. I'm sort of lost for words because just imagine seeing this picture on a Canva somewhere in your space, But anyway, we're gonna move swiftly along to the next person on the program. And up next, we have remarks from Mr. Milton Bradford. Just a bit about him. Mr. Milton Edison Bradford is the managing director of Malfinis Film and Animation Studios and a leading advocate for the development of the Caribbean animation and creative industries. Through innovative training initiatives and regional collaborations, Bradford has helped create opportunities for young Caribbean creatives to develop professional skills in animation, storytelling, and digital media production. His work focuses on building pathways for training to employment while using creative media as a tool for education, advocacy, and social impact. So you'll hear some remarks from him.
Well, first of all, Team Malfini was absolutely thrilled to have been given the opportunity to produce this video. For us, it was not just another animation project. It was a chance to contribute creatively to a very important message around climate justice, and to once again collaborate with the Caribbean Climate Justice Project on climate change advocacy. What really helped us from the beginning was the strength of Taj's lyrics. The words already carried a very clear and powerful message. They gave us a strong foundation to interpret the song visually, especially in showing some of the negative industrial and economic practices that have helped bring the planet to this critical climate moment. Even though our team was small and the production time was limited, Shem, Ross, and I went through the lyrics several times, both together and individually. We wanted to make sure the imagery we chose was powerful, evocative, and respectful of the message. What we saw in Taj's lyrics was really a message to all of us, current and upcoming generations, that greed, unmitigated exploitation of natural resources, and unsustainable industrial practices have been major engines behind this crisis. But the song also points to the fact that there is a better way. One of the important creative choices was including the young girl alongside Taj's avatar. For us, she represents the next generation, but also the necessary inclusion of youth and women in the struggle for change. Throughout history, women have been powerful, organized, and deeply committed advocates for positive social change, and that symbolism was important to us. So, throughout the video, we see Taj passing the message on to the next generation, represented by the young girl. We see her becoming part of the advocacy. We also see that advocacy being carried forward by our local climate warriors, helping to lead a unified Caribbean call for climate justice. Now, I won't tell the whole story, but by the end, you'll see who continues to lead the charge. In terms of the actual production process, it was pretty standard and probably the most boring part. We started with the storyboard, then created an animatic, which we presented to Taj and Dr. Fletcher for review. Their creative suggestions were then worked back into the animatic, and that became our guide for the full production. We also knew early on that we wanted a hybrid approach, where we transitioned from a live opening scene into an animated environment. So we needed to create avatars of Taj and Liani Jane Ismail, who we cast in the role of the young miss. We had a live shooting session with both of them, not only to capture the opening scene, but also to gather the images needed to create their animated versions. We also received images of our two frontline climate warriors, so we could include their avatars in the story as well, representing leadership and unity in the Caribbean fight for climate justice. Of course, like any creative production, we wish we had more time. But it was truly exciting to work on this project, and we really hope that the video is well received. Through unity, change is won.
That was some remarks from Mr. Bradford. And now we would have the video premiere. Oh, sorry. We will now have some remarks by Dr. James Fletcher, the one and only. So, just a bit about Dr. James Fletcher. Right, so Dr. James Fletcher, he is a solution climate policy expert, development practitioner, and international advocate for climate justice and sustainable development. He is the founder and coordinator of the Caribbean Climate Justice Project, a regional initiative established to raise awareness of climate change, impacts on small island developing states, and to promote community-driven responses to climate change and sustainable development in the Caribbean region. He previously served as a senior government minister in St. Lucia, holding the portfolio of Minister for Public Service, Sustainable Development, Energy, Science and Technology from 2011 to 2016. During his tenure, he played a leading role in his advancing renewable energy policy, public sector modernization, and climate resilience initiatives. Dr. Fletcher has also been active in the regional and international spaces. He contributed to advocacy efforts such as the 1.5 to Stay Alive campaign and has participated in the global negotiations, including supporting development of the Paris Agreement framework. He has served in various advisory and leadership capacities on sustainable development and climate governance in the Caribbean region. In addition to his policy and advocacy work, he is involved in climate education, youth engagement initiatives, including programs that use storytelling, creative media to communicate climate justice issues, and he also operates consultancy work focused on sustainable development and strategy of climate resilience. Dr. James Fletcher, holds a huge portfolio. So if I missed anything, I'm sure I'm not gonna get some buffing for that. But take it away, Dr. Fletcher.
Thanks, Sam. You haven't missed anything. And thank you for that introduction, a very generous introduction. And I'm really happy to be with the Caribbean Climate Justice Project. And to see the awesome work that Genesis is doing and you are doing as someone who is now an ambassador for the Caribbean Climate Justice Project, and Youth IRI, which was one of the spin-offs of the Caribbean Climate Justice Project in what year was it? 2024, I think, was when we started the Caribbean Climate Justice, the Youth IRI initiative. So I'm really happy to see that you guys are here and doing great work. So what I will do this evening is just to walk you through very quickly some of the initiatives that we have planned for this year, just to clue you in on what the Caribbean Climate Justice Project will be doing this year. It's a very exciting program of activities that we have planned, and so let's take that away. So as some of you may know, we started the Climate Tipping Point graphic novel series, and we've published 3 of the graphic novels so far. Graphic novel, the issue number 1, Silent Heat, which told the story of forest fires as a result of very deadly heat, and I'm sure many of us can relate to that given what we're experiencing in May going into June. I shudder to think of what July, August, and September will be, and now we're hearing that we have to dread a super El Nino, which will drive temperatures up even more. So that first issue spoke about it dealt with forest fires. Issue number 2 told a story of a survivor of a hurricane. I'm not going to give too much away because I want you guys to go and get the graphic novels. They're now available on Kindle. So if you go on Amazon, you can actually pick it up on Kindle, but there's also BookBaby if you want to purchase a hard copy. And very soon the paperback versions will be available on Amazon also. Issue number 3 tells the story of a glacier that melts in the mountains in an Indian country, in a country in the east, and the impact that has on lives downhill. Again, I'm trying not to give away too much of the story. We have 3 more issues that we will be releasing in the next few weeks. Issue number 4 is telling the story of scary storms, and I think that's something that we all can relate to. All of us, once we live in the Caribbean, at some point we've had to deal with a storm. Some of us have had to deal with the horror of a Category 5, others Category 1, Category 2, tropical storms, but every storm has an impact on us. So issues number 4 and 5 are really a continuation. So issue number 4 sets up the scene for when this storm is approaching the island, and issue number 5, which is Scary Storms 2, really tells the story of after the storm has hit, the impact and how devastating that is on the lives of people. Issue number 6, we take a slightly different angle. We look at the connection between climate change and health. And this one is a very interesting story about how the melting of ice in the melting of glacial ice now releases a very deadly pathogen that causes serious problems for the people who accidentally ingest that pathogen. So issue number 6 is Dangerous Diseases 1, and issue number 7 is Dangerous Diseases 2, where we kind of close that story. Then for the months ahead, we will be continuing the Climate Tipping Point story with 8 more episodes dealing with a range of things: water insecurity, food insecurity, sea level rise. But we will end the series on an optimistic note. So we will look at in the series what is confronting us, and we will end with what we still can do to prevent us from experiencing the worst impacts of climate change. The window is closing, but there are still opportunities and there's still things that we can do. And that's how the series will end. If not by the end of this year, sometime towards next year, we will close the Climate Tipping Point graphic novel series. So in total, I think there will be something like 14 issues. We also plan on doing some webinars and masterclasses this year, where we will continue on some of the work that we started. I think it was in 2024 when we did webinars on renewable energy, on climate change. We will continue that, going into maybe a little bit of a deeper dive. Last year, I think we did on renewable energy, solar PV, electric vehicles. So we will once again be engaging with people who are very knowledgeable in those areas to speak to you and to help you increase your knowledge, but also for you to quiz them and share with them some of the things that you know. So that's what the webinars and the masterclasses are about. They really are about an exchange of information, because it doesn't matter how much you think you know about a subject, there's always someone who has another angle, who knows something that you have not considered. We also will be doing some micro grants. I think Genesis has probably reached out to some of you on that. And there we plan on giving grants, small grants, to those of you in your respective countries who may want to do some projects related to climate change, to climate justice, to advocacy, in any one of those areas, to resilience building, and also on renewable energy. Now, we can't give you money to put up a microgrid. We can't give you money to put solar panels on your roof, but we can give you money to do some work in your community in advocacy, or there might be some small project that you want to do. It could be in hydroponics, it could be anything. So you just send it to us, send it to Genesis, and we will look at it, and hopefully we'll be able to disburse some funds that will allow you to not just to preach, but to practice what you preach. We also intend to do some mentoring. We understand that we recognize that there is a need for mentoring. There are a lot of people who are very active in this climate change space. I have seen it. You know, we have a lot of new negotiators coming on board, and we have negotiators who've kind of transitioned out. But we have to ensure that not just the negotiators, but everybody in this space understands what is going on, has someone that they can bounce ideas off of if they want to get a better understanding of what's happening in the conference of the parties, the COPs, or what is being proposed in the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, the Net Zero Framework. How does that relate to climate change? How does aviation and flying relate to climate change? What impact is the war in Iran having on greenhouse gases? Anything, so that we can ensure that there is what we call a community of practice. So there are people who can help you navigate this, and I'm always there, but you know, there are many more people other than me who can help. We also want to do something which, again, you know, we've been very keen on marrying the creative with the technical, and we believe that there is a very strong opportunity to do some storytelling, for us to tell stories of what we've seen in our communities, for us to tell stories of the impacts that we've seen of climate change, for us to tell stories of how we've seen people being resilient and adapting. These are stories, these are our stories that need to get out there. And when I say get out there, I'm not just talking about getting out to those of us in the Caribbean, but getting out internationally, so that people understand that, yes, while we are at ground zero, while we are being impacted, but Caribbean people are resilient, and Caribbean people are doing things for themselves, and we need more support to continue to do the things for ourselves. So to just tell whatever story you think needs to be told in whatever area related to climate change, climate justice, resilience, biodiversity, energy transition, those are all things that we will be promoting. And Genesis, again, will be sharing a lot of that information with you as the weeks and the months go by. The next activity is a very exciting one that, you know, I am very keen on. That's a mapathon. Now, we will not be able to do it initially in every single island, but we hope to start off in at least 5 islands. And what we want to do is to use open source mapping and to allow you to go out into your country, the totality of your island, and identify and geolocate and map every place of environmental or renewable energy significance. So any place in your country that you believe needs to be mapped, that people need to know what it's all about, what is there. Not just your ordinary tourist map, but a map that dives even deeper and tells us what is happening, what is that community, what does it do, and maybe even linking that to the QR code where we can now get even more information on it. That is something that we want to support. It's very ambitious. So as I said, we will not be able to do it across the Caribbean. We probably will choose 5 countries that we will start off with, and we will choose 5 countries where we have very active Youth IRI and Caribbean Climate Justice alumni, because we will be leaning heavily on you to help us to make this happen. And the final element of our program is something that we've tentatively called Ianola. I don't think that's going to be the name of it, but it's just a placeholder name. But it's really an animated series, and the idea for this actually started last year. We were thinking of doing a theatrical piece to highlight climate change and resilience and what we're doing. But we realized that a theatrical piece, something based on theater, it doesn't have the legs that we would like it to have, because a theatrical production is quite involved to get the actors to rehearse their lines and to put on the play. Once you've done it in one country, it's kind of difficult to move it from country to country, unless you do a recording of it and then you show the recording, but then that kind of loses the impact of a theatrical piece. Then we thought about, okay, well, maybe we should do a video, do a short film, but that now takes it in a pay range that is way outside of our pay grade. So in doing the animated video for Taj Weekes' song, it dawned on us that why not use anime? Why not do this as an animated series that we can do over 3 seasons? It gives us a lot more latitude, a lot more ability to be creative. We can develop the storyline much better. But most importantly, we can show this all around the world. Most of you on this call would be way too young to remember a series that played on TNT called Captain Planet. If you go and you go onto YouTube, you'll still see episodes of Captain Planet. So Captain Planet is kind of the inspiration for this. Something that's animated, not long. So each episode will probably be no more than 10 minutes long, that we stretch out over 3 seasons, each season being 1 year, not a Game of Thrones kind of thing, you know, where you have to wait for 2 years before the next season of Game of Thrones comes out. So this one will be one this year, then the next year, and then the next year. But we hope to have this animated series going. So these are some of the things that we plan on doing, some of the things that we're really excited about. But this can only work if we have your full engagement, your full support, your full participation. I know that we have a very committed an enthusiastic group of ambassadors with our Caribbean Climate Justice Project and with Youth IRI. We will be reaching out so that those of you who are our ambassadors can get more people to join, because we think that this is something that everybody needs to be involved with. And why? Because climate change is impacting your future. By the time we really start feeling the impacts of climate change, you will be the ones in leadership positions. You will be the ones who have to make decisions about how we respond to it, not me. So you have to be involved in decision making now. We can't be handing something to you that's already bad, that's already poison, that's already toxic. We want you, and I in particular want you to be part of the decision making now. But for you to be part of the decision making, you have to be informed. So that's why this whole program is to get you informed, but also to start bringing you into decision making and try to encourage your respective countries to not just take you along to a COP as a token youth person, but to start involving you in the meetings that are taking place and hearing from you about what's happening in your community and what you think needs to be done to help us become much more resilient, much better at adapting to climate change. So Samantha, that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fletcher, for such informative information on the way forward for Climate Justice Project this year, 2026. So now we're going to move forward to Taj Weekes, and that would be the video premiere. Just a bit about Taj Weekes. He is an internationally acclaimed St. Lucian reggae artist, songwriter, humanitarian, and social activist. Known for his powerful blend of roots reggae, Caribbean influences, and socially conscious storytelling. Weeks has built a global reputation for music that addresses issues including poverty, inequality, environmental sustainability, and human rights. Beyond music, he serves as UNICEF champion for children and is the founder of They Often Cry Outreach, a charitable organization dedicated to improving the lives of vulnerable children and communities. Through his artistry and advocacy, Weeks continued to use music as a force of awareness, compassion, and positive change. So, it's really amazing to see how persons who is a champion for climate change can utilize their creativity to demonstrate what is need to be heard by the public. So we're just gonna take it straight away with the video premiere.
Yeah, this is Taj Weekes, and the video for our new single, Climate Justice, comes out on World Environment Day. I want to speak a little bit about the inspiration behind the song. And it comes out of a simple realization that nature is offering us solutions even after we've done all what we've done. The sun still rises, the rivers still flow, the wind is still blowing. The systems that sustain life on the planet are still offering us a chance to choose a different path. When we talk about climate change, often we talk about politics and economics and science. But climate justice is to ask a deeper question. Who bears the burden of the crisis that we've created? And too often, it's us, the fishermen, the vulnerable community. We see it in stronger storms, changing patterns, coastal erosion. But we also see resilience in those communities as well, people working together. The song is not meant to be a lecture. It's meant to be a reminder that hope is still available to us. Yes, hope is still available to us in the sun, the wind, the rivers, and we need to choose. Because other than that, there's no hope. My hope is that people who hear the song and recognize that climate justice isn't about left or right or rich or poor. It's not about nation against nation. It's about a collective future with all of us. The earth is giving so much to us. The question is whether we can find the wisdom and courage and compassion to give something back. Blessings, and thank you for listening. Jacob.
The sun still rises, rivers still flow. We can power tomorrow with the winds that blow. But we must rise,
so grateful for people like Mr. Taj Weekes who can utilize their creativity to showcase the issues that we have with climate change today. So as we come to a close, I would just like you guys to reflect on, I know sometimes there could be a disconnect, but just reflect on the continuing fight and, in recognition of World Environmental Day, continue to do the work, continue to do what is important, use your voice, go into spaces, so that we continue to work together, for a better environment for all. So the closing remarks would be done by Ms. Jenica Alberts. She's the representative from CYEN, Solutions Secretary. So Ms. Jenica, you can take it away.
Good evening, everyone. As we come to an end of this evening celebration, I would like to sincerely thank each and every one of you for joining us as we commemorate World Environment Day and premiered the 1.5 to Stay Alive music video. Tonight has been a reminder that climate change is not just a global issue, it is a reality that affects us here in St. Lucia and across the Caribbean. The theme, Inspired by Nature for Climate for Our Future, highlights the important role nature plays in building a more sustainable and resilient future. We have also reflected on the importance of climate justice, ensuring that voices of those most affected by climate change are heard, and that no one is left behind to fight for a safer future. For CYN 1.5 to Stay Alive is a call to action. It reminds us of the urgency of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius and the need for all of us, especially young people, to remain informed, engaged, and committed to climate action. Thank you to everyone who contributed to making this event a success, our partners, supporters, volunteers, and all who attended this evening. Your presence and support mean a great deal. As we leave here tonight, let us continue the conversation, take action in our communities, and work together to keep 1.5 alive. Thank you. Enjoy your rest of your evening.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. So that was the closing remarks by Ms. Jenica Roberts. A special thank you for taking your time out to coming to this virtual event, and we look forward to seeing you engaging in more events. We look forward to seeing you communicating and, just doing what is important to fight the good fight. And I wish you guys a blessed evening, and we'll see you at the next convening.